Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and Markwayne Mullin catches this disgraced former head of the CDC red-handed, lying under oath. This is wild. Let's dive in.
I think you might have an honesty issue here that we want to point out. So what day was it that you spoke to the attorneys first time?
It was on or before the day I was fired.
No, that's when you retained them. You already testified to that. When did you speak to them?
Again, it was on or before the day I was fired.
So you retained them the first time you spoke to them.
I believe that I retained them the first time I spoke to them.
Was you let go in the middle of the night? Was you let go in the middle of the day?
I believe.
Now, I know the answer to this, so let's be honest here.
I believe I received. I believe I received an email from the White House indicating that my services were no longer needed.
What time was that?
Sometime in the afternoon, sometime in the evening.
Late evening, late afternoon, late evening. And so
Probably.
you got hold of the attorneys late at night.
I'm sorry, what?
You got hold of the attorneys after business hours to retain them.
I don't recall.
I think you do.
I really.
I think you
don't
don't recall retaining your attorneys.
I don't recall the specific time or day that I returned them.
See, I still think you have an honest issue because it wasn't that long ago. And I think I could recall when I hired an attorney. And I could definitely recall the time I did it. Now, when did you remove the political appointees from the floor that you work on?
Again, I did not. I moved some political appointees in, and I put my senior advisors together.
When did you remove them and remove their access to your floor? And you had a conversation with the secretary about this. When did that happen? Like how many days into your job?
I'm sorry, I don't even know what you're asking.
Yeah, you do, because you already talked about political appointees that the secretary had put in place. You removed the political appointees that was in there when you first got to your work. When did you remove them from your floor and take away their ability to access your floor? And you know exactly what I'm talking about because you and the secretary spoke about that.
You're miscontextualizing.
No, I'm not. I'm asking the question, what day did you remove them?
I have one political chief of staff. I have 3 political chiefs of staff. I had space made for all of them in my suite.
When did you remove the political appointees or the political hires before you got there? That was there prior to you getting there. This isn't hard. It's not hard. You talk in circles, and I just want an answer because you know.
So I had the security of my suite.
Okay, so let me ask you something. Your conversation with the secretary, you said that he said he didn't trust you.
Correct.
You testified to that. Is that really how that conversation went? Because there's other people in the room, and I think the conversation was, can he trust you? And your answer was?
He said he could not trust me.
No. The answer, ma'am, it was a recorded meeting. So you can testify one way, or you can prove that you're lying or be honest with this committee. I'm giving you the opportunity to be honest here because you've been really walking around the edges and not being truthful. So did he ask you the question, can he trust you? And your answer was?
He told me he could not trust me. And I told him if he could not trust me, he could fire me.
That isn't how that conversation went. And you know that, don't you?
He told me he could not trust me, and I told him if he could not trust me, he could fire me.
Ma'am, all we're looking for is you to be honest, and you haven't been. You're not being honest with the conversation you're having. You're not being honest with the timeline, and you won't even give the answers of who your attorneys were. And all we're looking for is you to be honest. If we're going to have a hearing and we're going to discuss certain things, let's make sure we're talking with someone that we can trust your answers. It's like my kids. I tell my kids all the time, one thing I want from you, I can deal with any situation we walk into as long as I know you're being 100% honest with me. The minute I can't, tell you're being honest with me, I can't trust you. From then on, everything you say is questioned. And you have to question you because your personality and your answers aren't correct.
Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Perjury is a huge problem in the United States, and we don't generally punish perjury enough, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One, people's memories are bad. People's memories are faulty. There's a great play and screenplay, 12 Angry Men, where they had to throw out all the witness testimony because it was so unusual. There's so many gaps in the stories. There are times when people get things wrong. And so I'm willing to forgive part of that here. So that's not what gets my dander up about this video. This doctor, Dr. Monarez, was the head of the CDC. What is supposed to be one of the most trustworthy organizations in these United States. They're the people literally charged with holding on to and dealing with the most dangerous diseases in the world. When the Ebola virus cracked out in showed up in Africa, the CDC was on the case solving the problem and did a surprisingly good job. However, there's something else that the CDC does. And there's a bigger problem that causes them to also be a part of the swamp. The Center for Disease Control is more often than not involved in incredibly shady deals across the world. They're basically the CIA version. They're the CIA equivalent in the medical world. If you're 64 years or older, you probably want to listen to this one. The Department of Justice just went after 3 of the biggest Medicare providers, all for claiming that they were unbiased, while allegedly steering seniors into plans that provided them the best kickbacks. This just goes to show you can't trust any old Medicare provider to have your back. But navigating Medicare alone, that can be a total nightmare. That's why I want you to know about Chapter. They flip the script on the system by comparing every Medicare plan, not just the ones that give them the highest kickbacks. That's how they help people save, on average, $1,100 per year. If your plan's already the right fit, they'll tell you. And if there's a better plan out there, they'll help you switch. So if you're ready to fight against a rigged system, call Chapter today and get advice from people in your corner. And there's a lot to be looked at. There's a lot of things that need to be brought to light. Because if it turns out that, what we're starting to put in our bodies and told that everything's healthy, safe, and fine, and turns out it's not, you want skeptical people who are going to be in there and go, okay, time to work on ourselves. Let's see what's really going on. It is okay to self-reflect. It is okay to self-police. It is okay to criticize a organization inside the federal government. And this doctor did not want the criticism. And this is the real crux of the problem. She cared more about protecting the integrity of the institution than using the institute to protect the integrity of the United States and its citizens. That is the fundamental problem we keep on running into in the swamp. This is why we say drain the swamp. This is why we say that there is a huge problem with the deep state. We have these bureaucrats who care more about the integrity of their institutions than they do about the truth. Seriously, this is what I mean by that. She testified that she was ousted last month because she refused to cede Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy's Jr.'s demand to pre-approve vaccine recommendations for the public and fire career scientists. In other words, she didn't care about internal reviews. She did not care about criticisms. She cared about protecting people that may or may not need to be fired. That's a problem. That is a huge problem, and that's why he kicked her to the curb. That's why he kept on telling the president, you need to fire this woman. So, Trump gave him permission, and she got fired. We cannot have a government that serves the people of these United States when they care more about their own institution than they do about your health. It is very possible we live in a world where, it turns out a lot of our medical science has turned into nonsense. Remember, there was the big tobacco lobby back in the 50s, and they told everyone, oh, smoking's fine for you. Then the soda companies came along and said, high fructose corn syrup isn't a real problem. It's, fat. Is it at all possible that there are links to certain underlying medical conditions because of what we put into our bodies? I think there's room for doubt. I think there is room to criticize. I think there is room to look inside and see, hey, let's peek behind the curtain and see what's really going on. And if it turns out that, yep, you can totally trust these scientists, if RFK Jr. comes out tomorrow and says, nope, turns out all of my criticisms are 100% unfounded, they were right all along, congratulations, the institutions got something right. Good for them, no need to worry. But there's enough criticism out there. There's enough questions out there. There's enough people noticing certain links happening, the rising rates of autism, for instance, although I've got my own theories on that, and that would be a much longer topic. I don't have time for that here. But it's funny to note that the very people who are saying, don't look at the science, just trust it, and they're telling that to Americans. You used to be able to get away with that across the pond. You used to be able to do that and get away with it in Europe. Not us Americans. We are too independently minded. We are too independent to be allowed and led along like this, because we've seen time and time again, whenever our federal government starts getting too big, things tend to go haywire. And after all, the only thing that the federal government is any good at is waging warfare, and let's be honest, we ain't batting 1,000 recently. Every department of our federal government, particularly the executive branch, deserves scrutiny. It deserves to have it stay in court. It deserves to have some criticism levied inside, have some internal reviews. This is necessary in order to ensure that our government doesn't go nuts. And folks, we have people in there that would rather defend the institutions than defend your health. That is not the way to serve the American people. So, good for Markwayne Mullin calling her out over this. And again, she may or may not have perjured herself. Sometimes faulty memory happens. But it's way deeper than the initial charges here. It's the real reason she got fired. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. My name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Until then, y'all have a good one.